Welcome to the corner of the internet where we talk about all things creative, innovative, and specifically creative project management. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, you're in the right place. To our returning subscribers, welcome back, visionaries. We're so glad you're here. And to our first-time viewers, we hope you enjoy the video and subscribe for more. In this video, we have a very special guest. Miles has worked on a vision. He calls it a blast from the past. His thoughtfully planned scenic hike with his buddy Ra was the highlight of his visit, and we are going to talk with him about his experience sculpting the vision.
Okay, Miles, when you were sculpting your vision, what were your goals?
So my goals were to look at the big picture of my project and really see what I wanted to come out from it, like what I wanted from the project. So I got the whole big picture, and I took ideas that I liked, and I not threw away, but I sort of tossed other ideas that didn't really align with my project. So yeah, the goal of my project, the goal of my sculpting was to get a really big picture and a good understanding of what my project was, what I really wanted from it, and what I wanted to come out from it, basically.
Right. Okay, so like when you came up with the idea, like we're gonna do this hike, what was more of like the big picture that you envisioned? Did you say that you wanted to like get to a certain point in the hike, or did you have goals for like how like a certain distance you wanted to go? Or
No, it wasn't anything like that. Actually, the way I kind of thought about it was because I hadn't seen my friend Ra in so long, and we hadn't hung out or done anything. I kind of wanted to like go on a hike with him, and we basically went by old places we used to hang out when we were really young kids, when we were like, I don't know, 10 years old. So, we went here, we stopped that place, and then the next place, and then the next place, and so on and so forth. So it was sort of trying to like do things we used to do as kids together, but now kind of relive our past.
that's so beautiful.
And that was the ultimate. That was the ultimate goal. I really wanted him to enjoy the time with me and have a good experience overall, have a fun experience with his buddy, and that's kind of where it came from.
Oh, that's so awesome. So what was like your process for sculpting? Did you do anything specific? Like, did you make a list and kind of like cross out things that weren't going to work, or like what was your process?
That was basically the idea of it. So yeah, I had a little list of ideas I had from the previous stage, ideation. I basically listed down all of my ideas on a piece of paper, and once I was getting to sculpting, I was trying to see what ideas aligned and what didn't. So basically it was carefully choosing the ideas that I thought would fit nicely into my project, and the ideas that didn't really hold that much value, I kind of scooted over to the side.
Yeah, I feel like that's usually the easiest way to sculpt when it comes to like events or certain things like that, just because you can quickly realize like what's not gonna work. Like, okay, never mind, we're not gonna be able to do this, and it makes it a lot easier to kind of sculpt. So what was the outcome of sculpting your vision? Did you have a more clear idea?
Yeah, my whole idea, the whole project became so much clearer, and it was like a base to build upon. So like I had the foundation, and then little by little you build on top of it. So I had that solid foundation where I could let my project grow, and to let it grow, to be able to give it the wings, and the wings to grow, basically.
Yeah, that's so good. I think the best part of coming out of sculpting is having like that clarity and that peace of mind that going forward, like, okay, I know every single part of my idea, I know every single part of my vision, and I have it all like in components, and I'm ready to go to the next step. And I think that's kind of the benefit of sculpting, and why it's important
Absolutely.
also, right? Why it's important to give yourself every single possibility when you're ideating, because if you just let yourself think about every single idea possible, like don't say anything is too big, don't say anything is too small, just put it all out there. When you get to the sculpt stage, you can kind of see what's possible, what aligns, what is going to be.
Yeah, what works?
Yeah, you'll see what works. And it's like, that's really the whole point of sculpting, is getting your idea more and more clear, because in envisioning, it's just like you may have two really big ideas, but one could take the other, right? And
Yeah,
they're
it's
both
true.
things you love. So it's kind of just like even starting that decision-making process, but in a way that's not overwhelming. So
Yeah, it's trying to. Yeah, I see it as like trying to find the balance in your project almost. You know, you have you have big ideas, and then you have small ideas, and you throw them out all there, and then you're like, okay, now I have all these ideas, but if you want to make them mesh together and work together, then you have to find that balance, and sculpting helps you find that balance, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I think about your vision, and like, because you knew the purpose for your vision already, that would, even the simplest thing like where you're going to hike, because your whole purpose for hiking was to bond with Ra and to be able to like walk down memory lane kind of it, like that already takes out so many options of like, well, there's this place to hike, and this place, and this place, and this place, like there's this trail and that trail, like you don't have
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you got it there, I mean, I guess I'm not saying it was cheating, but I guess I just had it there, and it's what I wanted. It's what I wanted for the hike, and what I thought would be good for both of us. It was kind of like what I wanted, but for the both of us, what I thought would be special and make it unique. That was kind of whole point of it.
Right. So, what were some ideas that you loved, but they didn't make it through the sculpting stage?
Yeah. During this, I had a few ideas, like maybe doing a trivia game or a trivia scavenger hunt kind of thing, and I didn't really implement them because I thought, well, we were just going on a hike, and I kind of just wanted to be able to just share the experience. Like, I wanted it to be like a one-on-one kind of thing instead of us scavenging around and looking, which I know my buddy used to love scavenger hunts and all this kind of stuff. But I wanted it to be a more personable and kind of like a close thing, as opposed to, oh, I'm running this way to find this thing and you're running this way to find that. I wanted something more personable, more one-on-one, more, so we can bond together and have a good time. That was kind of a big component.
Yeah. So definitely just identifying really early on what you wanted out of the vision helped you make those decisions. I think that's like what I'm hearing. So
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good, because especially when you're like I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, like when I'm thinking of something or I have this idea and I go all the way with it, like this and this and this, and I get so many like these random little ideas, and it's hard for me to like, okay, pull it in, like, what are you doing? So it helps when you know that purpose, so that you can sculpt it, make the decisions, and get a clearer picture.
I totally agree. If you know like the why and what you're doing, it makes the whole process so much smoother.
Definitely. And during your vision, you were working alone, right? Or did you work with someone else?
I worked on the project alone, but I had some guidance and some help through the different realms, because it was a completely new thing to me. I had just been introduced it, and you know, I mean, I imagine I could have learned it out myself and gone through the realms, but having that extra guidance and that extra little push or hand, it really helped me out. So it made the project come together a lot more easy. You know, I didn't have to spend too much time learning a complete new skill.
Yeah.
I had time to actually focus on the project and the goals of my project, which was the important thing.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Like, it's so relieving to just be like, okay, I can just focus on what's important. So just for some perspective, about how long did you take in your sculpting stage? Like, how long did the whole process of sculpting take for you?
Well, see, I had a bit of I wouldn't exactly call it a deadline, but my friend was going to be leaving Spain at the beginning of that month. So I only had a week to work with for my entire project, for the whole thing. So I can't remember exactly, but I'd imagine I spent like a day and a half or 2 days sculpting the vision and really getting that foundation. I'd say it took me 1 or 2 days of, you know, just focusing on it and doing it, and yeah. But for a week of work, I'm really happy of how the whole vision came out in the end.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that like they're called realms is because sometimes it's like when you're envisioning, you may even like start sculpting like immediately after, or sometimes it may take like a week after, some time might pass, or it just really depends. Like, it's not such a solid structure where you have to be like, okay, now let me take all of these ideas. Sometimes it's like, or now let me, like, I can't do ideate and sculpt in the same day. It's really up to your pace. Like, if you want to do it all in one day, do it all in one day. If you want to take 6 weeks, take 6 weeks. But it's really good that you were able to like completely do everything all in 1 week. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, because the model does allow for a lot of like wiggle room and a lot of space to actually work on your project and think about it and digest it. You can leave it for a week and come back to it. There's no problem, and that's the coolest part about it. And that's why I love it. I mean,
and like when you come back to it, you're not lost.
No, you're not.
Before, like, if I did something, you know what I would do? This is the weirdest thing. I would like write little ideas everywhere randomly. It will be in something in 7 different notebooks, in like cell phone notes, voice memos, like sticky notes on napkins. I didn't care. I would write on my hand sometimes. Like, I just put it somewhere, and nothing would ever happen because every little piece of ideas were just scattered around. And when I want to like come back to it, I'm just like, oh, I don't remember what I did with that. Did I email it? Like what happened?
Where did it go? Where did it go?
There is no such thing as pick up where you left off when I'm doing it my own way. Because
normally no, but yeah, that's what's so cool about the model. You really can, unless you're forced to a deadline and you have specific that it's a really like, you kind of work at your own pace, and you always have, when you come back, you know where everything is, where all your ideas are, where all your vision, everything, it's there in front of you, so it's easy to jump right back into it. It's like
literally so simple to just come right back to it. So were there any other tools that you used for sculpting other than List, or did you?
I did use the questionnaire a little bit, and the verification pathway. I used, but I mostly used the questionnaire for my first project during the whole thing, because the questionnaire really helped me get to helped me get really close with my project. It asked me those questions and those kind of, yeah, it asked me the questions that would help me, build and come closer to my project. It was actually very, very helpful. I think without the questionnaire, my life would have been maybe 10 times more difficult.
Oh wow, yeah, the questionnaire is a good tool. I like to use the questionnaire when I feel stuck and I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to think this through differently, because it's not that you can't think about your idea, right? Sometimes you get to a point where it's like you're trying to think of the right questions to ask yourself for the idea and answer the questions at the same time. But with the questionnaire, it's like
it does have to work for you.
Right. It's like
it does have to work for you.
Just think about it. It's like here's a prompt. Just think about it. Yeah. Here's a question. Just think about it, instead of being just like, okay, what?
Think about the question. Think about
what else do I need? What else is there to think about? It's a great starting point. It's a great place if you're stuck. It's great if you're at the end and you just want to say, let me just give a little extra thought to it.
Yeah, to go back through and look at your project, make sure there's no gaps or anything like that. It's a really helpful thing, a handy thing to have with you.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite tool to use during this?
I'd say it was the questionnaire. The questionnaire, and as always, I said it last time, I'll say it again. I love my journal. I consider that I consider that a very helpful tool. So between the questionnaire and my journal, those were my favorite tools. But the questionnaire really helped me get close to that idea.
Yeah, the questionnaire is one of my favorite tools too. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so the main observation I had was that after ideating and everything, once you got to the sculpt stage, it was time to actually really sit down and, again, as I said in the beginning, look at the big picture of what you want, and taking away ideas, adding new ones. It added to the overall. How would I say that? It added to the success, the overall outcome of my project. It made it better. Without sculpting, my project would have been either halfway or there would have been too much. So I noticed that sculpting really sort of gave you that kind of focal point, that really, not focal point, but it gave you a clear direction, a clear path to completing your project. It was it's the path, basically. It gives you that whole path so you can keep on winding about and going around.
Definitely helps you just break through all of the clutter. not the other ideas are clutter, but just you can move forward with so much focus.
Yeah, and some things don't align in the end, and some things do. So sculpting really helps you get that focal point, that direction that you need to actually, get your project done.
Yeah, and even sometimes when you mentioned some things don't align, those things sometimes that don't align, you can use them for other projects, or they might come up later down the line to be implemented in some other way, and you still have that documentation, so to speak, of it. You could go back and say, oh yeah, I totally forgot I had that idea, but now I want to use it. So you could just take it from there.
Repurpose the idea. Yeah, repurpose the idea afterwards. If you love it so much, you'll have another project you can use that idea for. So there's nothing bad about yeah, taking ideas away from your original set of ideas. I mean, it makes sense. If you want a really good project, you're gonna have to pick and choose the things that really align with what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to ask you how you maintained your motivation, how you stayed inspired, like what kept you locked in with this project?
Yeah. So I was working on my project a lot outdoors. So as I mentioned before, I was on the beach a lot, and when I'm in my happy place, I feel motivated, I feel good, and I feel energized to work. I really feel motivated to work. So just finding that space that you feel really comfortable in, and not comfortable, but a space that inspires you, that you sit down and you're all like, I'm ready to work, I'm ready to do things. That was really, really, really key for me. And so getting to work on the project itself was really motivating for me, going through the model, and the way the model, if you read the book, it's inspiring and motivating and innovating thinking and talking. The whole talk about the model is to inspire you and motivate you and push you, and which was also like a part of the motivation. It kept me going through the model. It kept me interested. It keeps you wanting to keep going through and keep pushing forward with your project. That and the beach, that made my project.
I bet the beach alone, that will keep me motivated.
Yeah,
but
I can imagine.
I also want to ask you, like, just what are your, now having your project complete, looking back over everything you did during the Nvizun realm, like, what are your thoughts overall about the outcome of your vision? Like, how do you feel about that?
How it came out overall. I really loved my project. I really loved doing it. It was amazing to get to do it with my friend. I mean, I thought it was an amazing. I think it was an amazing experience, an amazing thing to do. It was really awesome, but I had minor flaws down the way. So there were things I not forgot about, but I kind of jumped over or misstepped. So there were elements that I wanted that didn't get implemented, which is unfortunate. So I'm a little bit sad or bummed out that those didn't get to happen, but also it's all part of the process. At the end of the day, I really loved what I got to do with my buddy. We still ended up having a great time, had a good few laughs, and enjoyed our hike. So overall, I'm very pleased with it. I'm very happy.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that you're happy with what happened, with everything that came from it, and especially about like just accepting some of the parts of the process. That's a big part too. Like we have that. Well, I'm skipping ahead because this whole video is about sculpting. But when you're prototyping, you kind of get to like see a little bit of how things are working out, and so you can kind of tweak a little. But there may be some things that while prototyping they come up, and then you can get them squared away right away. But of course, time comes into it. Like, you were on a time crunch, so some elements that maybe you didn't get to fully dive into, it happens.
I guess it's understandable, but they were elements that I would have loved to incorporate, but it just didn't work out because of the time, the deadline I had. So, for next time, that as we were saying, now I have those ideas. I'll revisit them in the future.
Right, and you already have like so much of a like structure built. that when you do revisit it, you're not working from scratch. It's like
No.
that, like pick up where you left off thing that we talked
Ride
about.
it like riding a bike. You leave it, you come back, and it's the same bike. You know, it's the same model. And you've already gone through and done the hard part if you've taken your vision through the model the first time. After that, you're not a pro. You're kind of a pro. You've done the first project, so each time you do another one, it's gonna be all that much easier. You know, it's awesome.
Literally so good. So good. So I have a final question for you, and that is, what advice do you have for anyone who's currently sculpting their vision, or who's currently in the sculpting stage or approaching that?
Yeah, I would really tell them to focus on the what and the why of their vision. Like, what do they really want to accomplish from the vision, and why do they want it so bad? Having those two things makes sculpting so much easier. If you know what you want exactly from it, or not exactly, but if you have the idea and you have the vision, then that's already half of the work done there. And then the why is, like, for me, my why was, you know, I wanted my friend to have a good time, and I wanted to revisit our past, and so I think having those two questions alongside you when you're sculpting are very, very, very important to, like, actually get it. Yeah, as I said before, getting that direction, getting that whole, that direction going. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really great advice, and I agree with you. Like, keeping that's why right in the beginning, like in ideation, you get to your why, you get to the purpose of your vision, and you get that vision statement, so you know, like, it just makes the process of elimination so much easier, and not so, because, like, you can get so attached to one element of the idea, even if it doesn't align, and you're like, I don't want to let that go, even though for the overall project it doesn't align. Like, you kind of have to drop it. But when you have that why and the purpose, your vision statement, like, right at the, like, front of your mind, it's like, nope, it doesn't align, next. And it's not in a harsh way, just like
it just doesn't,
to the next stage.
I
keep moving in the cycle.
Exactly. And you know, some things will work and other things won't, and that's the way you do it. And just knowing the what and the why, I mean, I think it helps really make it concrete, you know, give it that foundation. Like, really helps you. It really helps you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Miles, so good to talk to you again, and we will see you again soon. Thank you soon.
Oh, my pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
Well, that wraps up today's video. We hope you enjoyed this candid chat with Miles, and we want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what you thought about today's video, and if you're currently sculpting your vision, let us know how it's going. We're rooting for you. As always, there's tons of resources in the description for you to check out if you're interested. There are things that explain more in depth how to use the Arrington Method and some of the tools Miles mentioned today, like the questionnaire. We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video.